And welcome back to our special live coverage following President Biden's speech, where he officially announced that he will not be seeking re-election, addressing the American people directly from the Oval Office. I'd like to bring back in our two guests, Theron Bond, Democratic strategist, and Curtis Hill, former Attorney General of Indiana. Thank you both once again for joining us. Theron, I want to get your thoughts on a statement that was put out a day or two ago from Black Lives Matter. They said that the elite anointment of Kamala Harris, saying this is a blatant disregard for democratic principles, it is unacceptable. They're demanding a transparent and fair virtual snap primary to allow for a democratic selection of its nominee. Is it surprising that BLM isn't fully behind the first black female candidate for president? What do you make of this?
It's not surprising, but this is also not just limited to Black Lives Matter. There are a number of people that do not agree with the process. Prior to this, as I stated, we didn't really have a completely open primary. This is President Joe Biden's Democratic Party. He's our candidate, and that's it. So we really didn't have much of a choice, despite a few people showing very early interest. They were easily skirted out. But now, here we are that President Joe Biden has stepped aside, and now Vice President Kamala Harris is kind of rushed to the top. And not everybody's excited. We don't know a lot about her stances. We don't know a lot about her true rooted accomplishments. And so, yeah, we deserved an open convention. We did all this work to get President Joe Biden to do the right thing by Democrats and the American people, and we deserve to have a true reset.
Now, Curtis, one major endorsement that is looming large that hasn't come yet is that of former President Barack Obama. Although there's been a lot that has happened since she's thrown her hat into the ring, and she's gotten a lot of endorsements like those of Senate leadership that were holding out for a little while, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. What do you make of the fact that former President Obama has not officially endorsed Kamala Harris?
Well, make no mistake that all of this doesn't happen without Barack Obama's blessing. However, I think it's very strategic on his part. He's holding back. I think he's holding back purposely to see if Kamala Harris stumbles over the next few days. They're going to have to come up with a plan B. Right now, she's in a huge honeymoon period. Everyone's excited. They get a fresh start. They have someone with younger energy coalesce around the vice president. Yeah, it's very exciting. But then all the people will start remembering they had a shot at Kamala Harris and didn't like her before. And so over the next couple of days, will she start to fade? Will she stumble? Will she fumble? And if that's the case, Barack Obama wants to hold his cards back and take a plan B that he can support going forward. I think the sign that Kamala Harris will be the choice of the Democratic Party will be when Barack Obama does make his selection. When he does come out and endorse, then that will be a final call.
Theron, Kamala Harris hasn't been popular with voters. Her favorability rating has consistently been below President Biden's, even as his slid down. What can she do to reverse that?
It would behoove Vice President Kamala Harris to actually have conversations with people that aren't in senior leadership in the Democratic Party, for her to actually talk to real voters, for her to talk to voters in middle America, rural voters, Gen Z voters, millennial voters, those who are completely engaged, those who are first time voters, those who are apathetic voters, and really discuss the issues that we are most passionate about. That's what's missing from the Democratic Party right now, is that they talk so high level and all these big words and buzzwords, and nobody's really getting down to the root of what matters most. Those kitchen table issues, those things that we are passionate about, that will get us off the couch for us to cast a ballot for someone come this November. That's what she's going to have to do. And she's also going to have to contend with her past as a prosecutor.
And Curtis, how do you feel about Vice President Harris not presiding over the Senate today during Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress? It is typically the sitting VP and their job, although she is the presumptive presidential nominee at the same time.
I think it's a clear indication on her part that she doesn't want to send a signal of too strong a support for Israel at the cost of the Palestinian support. She should have been there. Israel is a partner that our leadership for decades has made clear that we want to be the strongest ally for Israel in their time of trouble, and she should have been in that particular category. I think what the Democrats are up against, in my estimation, is that once we had the failed assassination of President Trump, he has taken on a role of almost a Superman. There's a certain invincibility, toughness that he's demonstrating. He's taken all sorts of hits, legal hits, political assaults, and now he's actually been shot while on duty and bounced back. That's a toughness. That's a mental toughness that people are going to be really, really paying attention to, and that's an uphill battle for Kamala Harris or any Democrat to get past at this point.